Hi, I'm Drew.
And I'm Sam.
And welcome to Drewling Samantics.
Ta-da! I'm here. Hello, buddy.
Hello, mate. Good to see you. Right, yeah. I was just sitting here. Oh, you've got it ready. I've got mine. I was cradling my coffee, ready to kick off. I'll just have a quick slurp.
Cradling your coffee. That sounds like some weird, not synonym. What's the word? Is it synonym? No.
I don't know. I mean, I was
I'm
literally
not really
just
sure what I'm trying
holding
to
it
say.
like that. All I'm doing is holding it in the palm of my hand in a cradling manner. I wasn't getting weird. You just made it all weird and a bit strange now.
Well, I was about to make it more weird because I said it looks like you're cupping yourself there, but that is not something. Fucking hell. We've descended already.
Already. I mean, thankfully, mate, that we can't really descend much further because we've got a wonderful guest on.
We have, and
Fantastic,
do you know what?
yeah.
It's interesting because last week we had a good old discussion about auditions and prep and stuff like that. Today's guest is someone I met at an audition a long time ago, a very long time ago.
Steady on.
I've changed greatly. He hasn't quite so much. I'd say he still looks very similar. He'll deny that, I'm sure. But yeah, lots can happen in a massive period of time. And in this case, for this gentleman that's about to join us, all that's happened is he's just smashed it. I think is probably the simple way of putting it.
I'm loving that.
But rather than me trying to sort of cryptically go around the houses and stuff, why don't we just get him on and he can tell us all about who he is, what he does, and why.
Go for it, Sam.
Perfect. So we will let him in. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, everyone watching and listening, please join us in welcoming the very lovely, the very talented Mr. Paul Burley. And a wonderfully good morning, despite the weather. Don't know if it's raining where you are. It certainly is where I am.
Yep.
The brilliant Mr. Paul Burley is joining us on Drewling Samantics. How are you, mate? It's been literally a decade. Can you believe it?
It literally has. It was crazy to think. What was it? I was looking at on Facebook and a picture came up of the pair of us, and I was like, "Oh my god!" Did I really look like that? and two, it was like, "Oh my, has it really been that long?" You know, it's been a minute.
Insane, but so chuffed to have you on the show. It's going to be brilliant catching up and chatting to you. Please allow me to introduce you to Drew, my podcasting partner in crime.
Well, nice to meet you.
Who I last saw about 10 years ago when we were trotting around on a stage pretending to be Jack and Flesh Creep. But more about that a bit later on, because to all the lovely Drewling Samantics followers, fans, listeners, watchers, this is the very talented, the very lovely, the very handsome, if I may say so, Mr. Paul Burley. But I'm not going to say any more than that, because, Paul, to make it nice and easy, why don't you tell everyone who you are, what you do, why you're here, anything you like, really.
Yeah, and cheers for that intro. You read exactly what I asked you to read out. I appreciate it.
Okay, the level's right and everything.
Yes, yeah, it was all good. Yeah, not too much. Yeah, but yeah. So what was it? Me and Sam, we worked together. So we met whilst we was doing pantomime. And before that, so I trained at Italia Conti, and I was there for 2.5 years, and then I left early so then I could go onto cruise ships. I was very fortunate to work on cruise ships for about 5 years on and off. And when I was off, I was me and Sam having a lot of fun. And yeah, and then after that, I decided to be more UK based, and I then worked on holiday parks, and I've been doing that for about So it's probably been about nearly 10 seasons. It's crazy. How many things I've done that, and then I've picked up a few things along the way, should we say?
Indeed, which we're also going to come to. But let's do the logical thing. We'll start at the beginning. So, trained at Italia Conti, musical theatre being your background. What was it that made you want to go that route? Had you always been a performer when you were little, or what was it that sort of made you do that?
Well, I actually didn't get into performing until a very late stage. So beforehand, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. What I knew is I didn't want to do a normal 9 to 5 job, as many of us performers want to do. And then I was so a musical came up. It was called Back to the 80s, and the drama teacher there suggested that I should do it. And I was sort of like, oh no, but everyone's going to think I'm weird, and for being in performing arts, because obviously it was at the time that you get bullied for doing things like that. And yeah, so the two reasons I went into the musical to do it, I think this was I think it was like year 9. Yeah, it would have been year 9, and it is because the role that I was going for. One, you got to sing a Michael Jackson song, who I love. And the other thing was there was a girl that looked really fit, and I was like, she would be my opposite. So I was like, I'll do it. So I got it. So and yeah, so then I did the musical, and then after that, our lovely teacher, Mr. Prowse, he said, you know what, I think you should do a BTEC in Performing Arts. I said, I'm okay, but really I want to do media and art, and that's where I want to be instead. And he said, well, I think that you should seriously consider it. So then, when going to A levels and stuff, the BTEC was going really well, performing, and my art, I just wasn't as good as everyone else. And the media side was great. I really enjoyed that. But I've always been more of a performer, more of an academic. So then when it came to the grades, it wasn't as good. But the performing side, I loved it. And then at the end of that, of doing the BTEC, which I got a double distinction for, he then said, "Oh, you should definitely audition to do it as a career." And I was like, "Well, I don't really see how you could be a career, because I didn't have belief in myself that I was good enough to be as these big celebrities." And I was like, "You can't earn a living." How wrong I was. And he said, no, I really think you should. So I auditioned for different places, but I did it in a gap year because, one, I didn't have enough money because it's expensive to live in London. And number two, again, I didn't think that I was mature, ready enough in order for that part of my life. And in that gap year, I got to work 2 jobs. Just doing, I think it was Summerfields and Beefeater. Was it Summerfields is now Co-op. And then I was also a dance teacher. And the funny story about that is, so the place that it was called the Music Mill, and I needed a job. So I said, is there a job going? And it was at the receptionist, right? So I was there, and I was like, I can just dash in some numbers. Hello, that's it. Welcome in. Here's your £2.50 or whatever it was. And so I didn't. So what was it? I didn't have broadband coming up. We didn't have like much money, so we didn't have Wi-Fi and things like that. So when I was working there, when they were doing the ballet classes, I cheekily went on to YouTube. You shouldn't do. You shouldn't do stuff like that. But anyways, yes, very. And yes, then I was watching dance videos whilst that was all going on, and then I started watching tutorials. And I did like dance tutorials of like ballet and hip hop, because I didn't actually have enough money, because I was saving so much, to do the classes they were doing. But then the dance teacher called me in one day and said, "All right, lock the door behind you." I thought, "Oh, bugger, she's caught me." I said, "This is it. This is curtains." And she says, "I see that you've been dancing downstairs. You've been on YouTube, haven't you? Learning all these moves. What have you got to say for yourself?" And I said, "I'm really sorry. I just don't have the money in order to do it, because I'm trying to save." And they went, "Well, you're pretty good. Do you want to teach it?" So everything just suddenly went on its end. Wow. I thought to myself, I'm going to lose my job, and instead I gained another one. Yeah. So then when I wasn't, so in between, so I would. So in the morning, I would do, if I wasn't helping out with Mr. Prowse at the school, because I also did that as well. I like to keep busy. I always got to have a few projects going on. So if I wasn't on a day, I think that was on the Tuesday, what was it? Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday, I would help out with them. And then the other times, in the morning, I'd work at Co-op. In the afternoon, I would then teach after school. Then I'd go and do the reception job. And then on the weekends, I would do the Beefeater. So yeah, that was it. That was my gap year. So most people, when they say gap year, oh, I was able to find myself in Thailand and stuff. That was not me. That was the exact opposite. So yeah, so I was doing that, and then I got into Italia Conti, which was is a. I'm sorry. I'm one of those people that I'll start a conversation, and here's the point I'm trying to make, and this is where the journey will take you.
Tangent away, mate. We love a tangent. We love going off one. Carry on.
That's the perfect guess. Before you go on, I'm going to ask,
Yes.
Beefeater, was that a restaurant, or was that?
It's a restaurant, yeah. So
Right, okay.
yeah. So I was I wasn't allowed to be behind the bar for some reason. They might not have trusted me. I don't know. But I was
No,
always
but
keen,
performers,
and I
yeah.
was one of those people that I didn't mind doing the running back and forth. So
Right.
yeah.
No,
So
there used to be. Well, I think it's still there. There was the Beefeater, which is a themes medieval banquet.
okay.
I worked there for some time. So when people go the Beefeater, I go, is it that or is it the restaurant chain? But it was the
Right.
restaurant chain.
No, it's a restaurant chain. No, I wasn't quite ready for the hat. You know. No.
Yeah.
The
Well, it was
difference
that,
is,
yeah.
Drew, you were around in medieval times, so you can just pull from your experiences
That's
to do
true.
stuff like that. So
I had my own costume, mate. You know, it's just my day clothes.
stand up in it, yeah.
Yeah. Right, I'm gonna.
Go
Sorry,
on,
Sam.
carry on.
No. You go. Go,
I
Sam.
was gonna
Go.
say, you talk about going off on tangents. We've just done that as well. So,
Yes.
Absolutely.
welcome to Drewling Samantics. This is what happened. Drew, over to you, mate.
No, I was going to say, I'm going to light the blue touch paper and let you go again. So Italia Conti, you when did that? You go. I'm going to go to a drama school and get some training. But was that after all these many jobs were actually funneling you to somewhere, weren't they? They were taking you somewhere.
Yeah, well, I was trying to save up enough money, and what was it? I initially wanted to go into university only because my friends went off to university. It was Winchester, and I auditioned for there. And there was a place up in Scotland I went for, but then there was two other colleges that I went to. One of the colleges that I auditioned for, I can't really say their name, but let's just say I went there, and they were basically just like all clones of one another, and I'm not one of them. As you can hear, that I was not the background of being there in the jazz tights ever since I was 8 years old and doing ballet and blah blah. My upbringing was very different, and yeah, so when I was at the audition, so my dance teacher told me, before you go, make sure you stand out, right? And wear something that makes you stand out. So and you'd think, yeah, I mean that makes sense, obviously, yeah.
Yeah.
So I turn up, and everyone set the scene. We're about to start a dance call, and everyone's got their pin badges and blah blah blah, and everyone's all in black vests, black very tight jazz trousers, and the Capezio split sole shoes and whatnot. And then I rock up, and I've got Slazenger jogging bottoms. I've got some cheap Asda George trainers, and a Superman top, because I wanted to stand out. And as we're doing funny enough, when we were doing the dance call, someone's pin flies off of their top, and the pin sticks up. Now, me being me, I stop the choreo. I'm literally just about to do my double tour, and then I see this pin. So I go over, I close it, whack it in my pocket, and then final score, boom, like that. And then the choreographer says, "Oh, I'm glad we've got Superman to save us," which got a big laugh. And in my head, I was like, "Oh, well, they certainly remember me."
Yeah.
I didn't make it through to the next round.
Oh,
And I think it was because I was very different. So then when I auditioned at Conti, and it's in the Barbican, and anyone that's been there or knows the college, they know it basically looks like an office block. It doesn't. You wouldn't have thought it was a musical theatre college from the outside. And I remember going in, and because it has a younger school as well. There's loads of kids running around, and just massive energy. But you wouldn't have thought of it looking in. Anyways, so we then started doing the ballet, and instead of doing a proper like Swan Lakey kind of business or anything like that, they ended up putting on Razzle Dazzle, and I was like, a little bit different. This is cool. And just the whole atmosphere was so lovely because everywhere I looked, it was energy and it was individuals. And I thought, this is amazing. And I genuinely felt at home. It's one of those things you can't describe to
Oh, I
anyone.
know.
You can't. It's a bit like if you go into a theater and you know when it just you look around and I just feel right. It just feels good, you know. So we did the audition. Then I heard a week back a letter came through, and I didn't actually open it straight away. The letter arrived and I had the heading of Vitalia Conti. And my mum said, "Oh, you've got it. Open it." And I went, "No." She went, "Why?" I said, "Because I I didn't want to hear the word no. I wanted to still be in a bubble of going, no, there might be a chance, genuinely."
Yeah.
And then it was 2 days later. I was what was it? We had a tea and we sat down. And Mum said, "You sure you're gonna have to open it? Because what if you have to respond?" I went, "I won't, but okay, put a kettle on." So put a kettle on, sat down, opened it, and I kid you not, my hands have never shook so much when I read like you've been enlisted, and also not only did I get in, but I got a scholarship as well. I think it was like 90% of the
Wow.
scholarship, which it just never happened. So I was like, oh my God, like, can this actually happen? And my mum was so happy for me. And then obviously they had to do logistics of, can I actually afford this? Because although 90% is a lot, still people don't account into actually living up there, like rent in London. It's crazy. And that's how it all started. So my first place that I lived at in my first year for Conti, it was actually shared. I actually shared a room with three other guys.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that was interesting. They were at a different college, and great. I think there was nine about 9 or 10 of us that actually lived in this giant house all
Wow.
together. So that was my first year, and then in the second year, I was able to be really good friends with the landlady. She knew that I was a rather responsible person, which you wouldn't have thought. But
No, I
so
don't know. You must have started acting quite hard then to make her believe that,
yes,
mate. I've worked with
yeah.
you and I know that's absolute bollocks. But anyway, carry on.
I put on the mask very well.
Yeah,
Yes. No, but
exactly.
no, we no. There was many nights that everyone else was going to sleep, and then I'd often just stay up and uh, I'd like to think that I'm a good talker, but I can be also a good listener as well. And I think it was around the same time that it was nice just to sit down and we'd like have a glass of wine and things like that. So yeah, sidetracking that. On my second year, I then lived with her daughter and someone else at a house. And then in my third year, we didn't have much money. So then I ended up sharing. It was in someone's house. I got it on Zoopla. There was in someone's house, and it was in their garage.
Oh,
So I
right.
slept in someone's garage. And yeah, so it was literally you walked in this garage, and there was a double bed, and you had a little table, and you had a microwave, and a fridge, and that was it. So
Wow.
yeah, that was an interesting time.
But
But
all this is going to show, like the thoughts about money and the am I good enough and the having to live in essentially a garage. This is the love of the art. So you
Mhm.
knew what you wanted to do. You'd found this thing that you loved. The working two or three jobs to try and save the money. Nothing was going to stop you
Mhm.
achieving that goal. Once you'd found that thing that you were like, this is what I feel comfortable doing. I've had the support from my teachers. Doesn't matter what I've got to do, what I've got to go through, what I've got to commit to. It
Mhm.
was going to happen.
Oh
And
yeah.
and obviously massive success story because look at where you are now and huge congrats and you've had the honor of working with me. So dreams
That's
do
very
come
true.
true.
That is actually one of my highlights. That is one of
Oh,
my
of
highlights.
course. Well, why
I
not?
tell you, and no, and actually, on a serious note, obviously, my dad always said, if you enjoy what you do, you never work a day in your life,
Yeah.
right? And I think that is so true. So that's why we push ourselves and do all these things in order to allow us to perform and go on the stage. And it's not a vanity thing at all. It is just because you enjoy the moment and because you enjoy giving those little moments. I always say, even now, if I'm doing, like, party dances with the kids, if I see little kids that at the beginning of their holiday and they're extremely shy and timid, if I can just show them a bit of magic, if I can just have a laugh with them and act a little bit silly to have them come out of their shell, so then by the end of the holiday they feel better and happy and smiling and more, have more of their personality come out. You There's no amount of money that can, outweigh that, So I think that's something that quite special that other people on maybe like 9 to 5 jobs they don't necessarily get.
I think that's one of the things. We'll talk about how you got to where you are now in a minute, but I think that's one of the things that when you do those jobs that put you in personal contact with an audience. I mean, Sam and I, the work we do with the dinner shows and things like that. You meet those people. You often get a chance to talk to them afterwards. And that is a reward that as you say, you don't get that if you're in 9 to 5. Maybe if you're, you go to someone's house and you mend something for them, they go, "Oh, great, my TV works now, my plumbing's fixed, great." But so often change someone's life. That a small child that we you work with the holiday parks, and we'll have a chat in a second. But you meet those people, you change. If you have that child may go away and go, "I want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
I want to do something like that." You may well have changed their life. Push them, put them into something. And we make people smile. We give people memories, however long they last. But for that length of time, we're very important in people's lives. And I think, and we know that from the period of the unwelcome guest and how people went, "We can't get to the theatre, we can't do that." We suddenly were, viable and important, and we still are. But that's why backtracking. You say, talking about you work on the holiday parks now, and and you went from Conti to you went cruises on the cruise ships, didn't you, as well?
Yeah. So
wow.
I was at Conti for 2.5 years. And another funny story about that. I didn't actually want to go to the audition because, again, I was like, I need to do my full 3 years. I'm not ready for this. And my friend was like, "Come on, mate, come on." Like, it'll be fun. Just like they always say, because auditions can be brutal and tough. Class it almost like a free dance class, right? No matter how you work about it, that's what a lot of people do, because it can be tough. So I was like, "Okay, we'll just go along. It'll be fine. We'll get we'll watch a movie in KFC afterwards. It'll be great." If anything, I was thinking more about the KFC than I was actually the audition. I was like,
all I know, yeah.
I was like, let's just go, let's just do our little bit of dancing, and I've got a bonus banquet waiting for me. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, we went to the audition and we did the dance round together, and then I got through and he didn't, and it was a very awkward moment of him looking at me and saying, "Right, shall we go?" And I was like, "Yeah, exactly that, exactly." I was like, "I'm going to stay." I said, "I'll tell you what, I'm going to do this round and then I'll see you at lunchtime." Right. And he's like, "Okay, cool." So then we do, yes, we did the dancing round and then we did the singing round, and I got through that and I was like, "Oh, bugger." So we get to stick around for the interview round, and I'm messaging him and I'm like, "So sorry, mate." He's like, "It's all right, mate. I've gone home." And I was like, "Oh," he's fine though. It's all good. And yeah, so that went really well. Safe to say, I was very different compared to everyone else, because I think everyone was like all very proper, and I literally come in. I'm like, "You guys, it's gonna be fun today, isn't it? Come on, let's do it. Shall we do the routine together?" And someone that I actually joined the ship later on, what was it? She auditioned for that one. She didn't get on that contract, but she was on the next contract. And we was there having a drink, and then she actually said to me, she was like, "You and your audition, I'll be honest, I didn't want to associate myself with you." I said, "Why?" I said, "Because you came into the audition, and after the dance round, when we had time to go over it, you said, shall we go over it?" And then you started counting 5, 6, 7, 8 and getting everyone in, and you seemed a bit up yourself. And I was like, oh, I'm so glad that you told me that. I said, I didn't think that I came across as that. I just was genuinely just trying to help out. And, so, yeah. So then I was on cruise ships on and off for 5 years. And I've been able to see everywhere in the world apart from North America, Antarctica, and then the New Zealand, Australia area. But other than that, I've seen everywhere. So I'm
All a
very,
bit in the middle. Yeah.
yeah, I was
Yeah.
very fortunate to be able to, see the world. It was an amazing experience, and I'd definitely implore anyone that was thinking of doing a cruise ship to do it, even if it's just for one or two contracts, just to, I think, not only to experience being on the ship because it is a lot of fun, um, but mainly to you can travel. And I think, like I said about gap year and people find themselves, and I had a little joke and whatnot. But genuinely, when you do go to a different area, a different place, and see beautiful places, but also seeing a different culture, it
Mm.
put things in perspective. When we was in Vietnam, and one of my favorite moments was going along Halong Bay and just that boat ride and just looking around, and I was like, it's absolutely beautiful here, and majority of people will never experience this, and I got a little bit teary eyed, that I was fortunate in order to have that opportunity, but also, you come off this beautiful set and then you come in, then you see the slums of where they're living. You have little kids that they don't have a phone, they don't have a tablet and all these gadgets and whatnot. They are quite happy, quite literally, having a little kick around outside, or they've got some rocks and throwing it. I mean, we used to do it with pennies. I've forgotten what the name is. You flick the penny and see how close you can get it to the wall,
The wall.
and yeah,
Yeah.
and they just be doing it with like little stones and stuff like that. Happy as Larry. Don't know who Larry is, but they're just happy doing their own thing, So I was very fortunate being on the cruise ships to do that. And on there, I actually worked my way up. I started off as a singer dancer, and then I worked myself up to being the dance captain. And then at one stage, for a brief moment, I was able to be the dance captain in the shows, and also I was able to be assistant cruise director as well.
Excellent.
So yeah, and then I realized it was so much admin, and like I said at the beginning, I'm not very good at that. So I was like, I think I need to step back. So,
Yeah.
so yeah.
But
Yeah.
and obviously, as you say, what an incredible experience to do something you love, but equally to be able to explore the world, to see lots of different cultures, to call that your job and to have those opportunities within work that you love doing is insane. So to then go, well, do you know what? I'm going to take a small break and I'm going to go and do something mad and do panto.
Mm-hmm.
And little did you know what a connection that would end up being.
Yes. Yeah.
But we won't dwell on it too long. We talk about panto quite a lot on this show, but we do need to mention it for a couple of reasons. Number one, the story goes that you and I and one other guy auditioned on the wrong day. Do you remember? So
Yes.
they had a set day for auditioning for, I think, for the 2 or 3 lead females, and then another set day for auditioning for the lead males. Now, for whatever reason, because I don't think you'd quite got back off the ship yet, I had another audition for something else, and then there was one other guy. None of us could make the day for the male roles, so we ended up auditioning after all the girls. And the reason I mention it, it's funny because the 2 lead male roles that we ended up getting. So they did this whole day of audition.
Literally.
No one got through. And
Literally.
then tagged on to the end of the other one was you and me. But I think I can say even then, we had a connection then. I remember sitting, waiting for our turn and just having a chat. And like, we'd come from very different backgrounds. Obviously, you'd done performing. I'd barely done any really other than sort of on the side stuff. But I think maybe we both had that little bit of outsiderness about us. Like you were saying, you didn't feel like you quite fitted in at some times, and I had the same. But so and maybe they noticed that. Maybe that was part of why we got those roles, because they saw that connection, saw that we worked well together, even having only just met. But the other reason I want to mention Panto particularly is because you, Paul, owe all my fellow panto performers ever since an apology, because you are the reason, and you know where I go with this.
Yes.
I always before panto now do what is known as bring Sally up, which is a press up routine. It's a fitness thing. It's a warm up. You got me into that, and because of you, I've now done it every single panto show I've ever done since in the last 10 years. and I get people involved and they hate me for it. So that's all your fault. So here's an opportunity. Apologise to the Panto world, Mr. Burley, for doing that.
I am sorry to everyone for getting you fitter. My apology. No, I think the one reason that we like doing it is because yes, you are getting yourself fit and ready, but you're also filling yourself with those endorphins, and also you are challenging yourself as well. Yeah. I always like doing things that can challenge you. I've just recently got into running, and I used to hate running, but then I think one thing that got me was I remember doing my first 5K, and I was just sort of like, if I just ran a little bit more. And one trick that I always like to do, I don't know if anyone else does this, if you say to someone else you're going to do it, then you're almost obligated to then do it. So I then said, you know what, in 2 weeks' time I'm going to run 10K. I've decided. And they go, cool, can't wait to see it. And we were like, mm-hmm. And then it got to that day, and I was like, I'm gonna have to do it. And just recently I hit a new PR for doing a half marathon. Nice. And it's one of those one thing that I like is you get part way into the workout that you suddenly forget that you're working out, and it's because you are just filled with all these endorphins. So us doing that little routine, it's not about I'm going to show you how masculine I am because I lasted this long. You're challenging yourself. You're having fun with people around you. And I used to do that, the same routine, bring Sally up, when I was on the cruise ships, just for us to warm ourselves body, but just to have a bit of a laugh. Yeah. With people, when you're there shaking, or if you do, some people they do it with squats. If you're there shaking and you're with your mate, you just start laughing. Yeah. So yeah.
No, it's good, and obviously messing around saying your own apology, but it has genuinely helped me because that having that focal point and having that thing and keeping my mindset and having something to do, it's almost become tradition for me, and it means quite a lot. So thank you. We could talk for hours, and I'm well aware that you've obviously got to go off and go to work because you never bloody stop. So we are rapidly running out of time here. We want to get onto very quickly before you do have to leave. Talk to us about magic, because you said earlier, obviously, you ended up on holiday parks and you've spread out and you've gained these little extra things. Magic is the one we really want to talk about because that's your newish kind of focal point. Talk to us about magic, Paul.
Yeah. So a true story. I was taken to the circus when I was about 8 or 9 years old, and there was a magician there, and ever since then I've loved magic, and I was always nervous doing magic in front of people, because as you know, when you get nervous, your hands start to shake. Now, when you're doing card tricks with people, whether you're doing like a different sleights or things like that, things do go wrong, and people started laughing at me, and then I stopped doing magic for a very long time just because I was so worried about getting it wrong all the time. And then when I was working on the holiday parks, someone called Adam, he's called like Adam B Magic, he's at the park in which I'm at now, and I loved his show so much. And he was doing a card trick, and then I said, "Oh, I know that one." He said, "Oh, do you like magic?" I said, "Mate, I love it." He says, "Do you know any other bits of magic?" And I was like, "I do." And I would start to do a trick, and then it went wrong. And then he was like, "It's all right, mate." And just having someone to be sort of like, "It's all right." I can't tell you how good it felt to be able to have someone just not like believe in you, but in order to go, "It's all right, take your time. We got all the time in the world." So then I started doing magic tricks with him, and then he said, why don't you put a show together?" I said, no, I can't do that. I can't do that. And he said, no, just try it. And I was like, well, it can't just be magic. I'm not good enough for that. I'll do something else. And I've got a philosophy. It's called it's literally just 4%. And people look at me like weirdly, what on earth is 4%? 4% is actually 1 hour of 24 hours. I didn't think it was much of a thing. If you tell someone use 4% of your day on something, it doesn't seem like a lot. So I would use that 4%. I'd use an hour of my day, and I'd learn myself a new trick. And I just did that over and over again, whether it would be stilt walking. So I just randomly I saw what was it? We had stilt walkers coming in the park, and I was like, I want to learn how to do that. And my friend he said, well, I can teach you. I went, all right, when you free? He said Tuesday. I said, cool. Hour, brilliant. And then I learned how to stilt walk. Same with juggling as well. I said I want to learn how to juggle, so I bought myself some juggling clubs and some juggling balls and rings, and I just gave myself an hour, no phone, all shut away, and I just added that. So my first show, and it's still called Burley Sideshow Magic, is because I've always been intrigued by the unusual. As we all know, like The Greatest Showman was basically a sideshow. It had very interesting and unusual people, and that's one thing that I say in my show is that I'm an interesting and unusual kind of person as well. But so that's how it started. I put together a 30-minute show of me doing circus skills and magic, and then eventually, as time has gone on, I've taken away some of those circusy elements, and I've concentrated just more on the magic side and more of the that sort of like sideshow, not so much like freak show, but like sideshow. So one of the a few tricks that I do in there is actually made famous in sideshows. So I'll take a pack of cards, and I'd have someone choose a card, and then I'd lose it inside the deck, and then I put it into a little miniature bear trap. And then so I put it in there, and then I reach in and grab their cards, and the other ones get in the trap. And that was made famous in Coney Island. I do the straitjacket routine that I love to do, and I also do the human blockhead. Has everyone ever heard of a human blockhead?
I don't know the human blockhead. No.
So the human blockhead is basically it was a guy that was able to put things in and through their body. And what I do is I take a nail and I hammer it into my skull.
Ah.
And then take it out, and then I go, well, that's okay because I'm in control of the nail. Now the next thing I'm going to do, you're in control of, and I take a fish hook and I put it inside my mouth, and I've got 4 strands of string, and then one by one they pick and take one out, and thankfully the one that's left behind is the one that's attached to the fish hook.
Like that.
Yeah.
Like that. Yeah. So you do straitjacket, do you?
Yes, yeah.
I love.
It's one of my favorite routines that I do.
I used to do it as well. So yeah, I love straitjacket routine.
And where did you do the straitjacket?
I did some. I used to do. I was known as Bucket Boy. I used to do escape from set of handcuffs with my head in a bucket of water. I did it in Covent Garden.
Love that.
And then went up to Edinburgh and did it in Edinburgh. But yeah, I started off, it was known as Drew's Aqua Show. And in the end, they just, it's Bucket Boy, because I used to have a clear bucket and put it on top of a 6-foot ladder, and there's the handcuffs, and boom, and I'm out, But I'd keep my head in there for about a minute and 15, minute and 20 seconds. As the audience are counting down, and I'd take one hand out the cuffs and go, keep going, put it back in, and and then eventually I'll be out. But I did a straitjacket. A couple of guys that I work with were street performers. Said, I want to learn to do that, and they said, well, there's no trick to it really. It's just there's a technique, and for which we're not going to talk. But but I didn't have some people use they use a gagged jacket. I use the real jacket. I was taught on a real jacket. It's much more of a challenge. It's much better. But I did it one night. Very quick story. I did it one night at in a burlesque show.
Mm-hmm.
And for whatever reason, I was really hot and sweaty. And I said, if I can't get, when I get out the jacket, guys, I'm just going to throw myself back, catch me. And if not, just let me go. And I wasn't out in time, and they let me go. And I went, bang, I just hit the deck. I was out the jacket. Then I just bounced up, stood up, did that. They thought that was part of the trick, Yes. They went, it's amazing the way he hit it. And I got back in the dressing room. I was like, oh, Jesus Christ. I hit the back of my head,
Yeah.
So, but I love that routine. I love watching people that do it well. I mean, I do it, but I don't do it as well as some people. But, great.
I've actually got a funny story about that as well. So when I do the straitjacket, I remember, I start off with saying Harry Houdini is one of my favourite magicians, and he is. And I say, right, well, I've got, there's many things that Houdini was able to get out of, right? He was able to get out of safes. He was able to get out of even like an escape. What was it? You know, the milk jug thing. I forgot
Oh, the
what it's
milk
called.
churn.
Yeah, the milk.
Yes,
churn,
yes,
yeah.
into in the milk churn. I unfortunately can't. I don't have the budget for any of those things. But one trick that he was able to get out of is one of these. It's a rope. So I need to prove that this is a normal piece of rope and throw it out to whichever person I want to help me out. It's usually the least drunk person. So I handed it to them, and especially with the way that I do the routine, I need someone that's able to follow instructions and someone that I know is going to be up for a laugh for the way that I do it. So I throw it out, and I was like, just make sure that there's no magnets, there's no cuts, there's no black holes, anything like that. No, all good. And if you wouldn't mind just standing up for me and making your way onto the stage, that'd be amazing. That, ladies and gentlemen, is how you get people roped into things.
Hey.
Just a quick little joke. Get them onto the stage, and then I either do an escape from behind my back, that they tie it in a certain way, and I go, ta-da, I've got out of it. Or I'll just go, and you see this piece of rope? Don't actually need it. And I just literally lob it, and it's literally just a moment. Just get them on the stage, say a little funny joke, and then once they're on the stage, I always say, all right, so what we're going to do now is we're going to do one of his most famous ones, and I cross my arms and I say, right, what kind of trick do you think that is? And they go, street jacket. And I say, I have no idea how you were able to figure that out, but there you go. Here's the jacket, if you wouldn't mind, and I hang it, hold it up, and you always see them go, I'm going to put it on, and they're like this, just about to, and I go, if you just put it on me, that'd be absolutely amazing. So then, so I ask them to, do the back, and then do the arms, and do the underneath, and then when they do the underneath, I always say, right, well, I'm gonna swing a 1, 2, 3, and you just really accentuate it. If you've seen the straight jacket routine, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. If you haven't, please do it and test
Strap
it
between the legs. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. Please grab this and nothing else. It's not that type of a show. That's the one at 10. You know, it's that type of thing. But yeah. Oh, if anyone hasn't, if you're gonna watch a straight jacket routine, do it from someone in Covent Garden, because they have got it down to a T, because they know exactly at what level you go serious and not. And every time I go to London, I have to go there to see what happens. Anyways, so funny story. The person that I got seemed like he was going to be great. And the moment that he started doing the buckles, I realized this guy's going to be a twat. Because what he did, right, excuse my French, but he'd lined all of the buckles incorrectly on my back. And the one that he did underneath, right, so not the arm, but the one underneath through my legs, not only did he go up through the buckle, he then also tied a knot.
Oh,
Tied a knot with the material at the top, right? Now, the way that the routine goes, I won't reveal like how it's done, but you know yourself at what point to really do certain bits. I think that's fair to say, Drew. Yeah.
yes, yeah, you're right.
And up until that point, everything's going fine until I realize that he's done this, made it very difficult for me, right? So safe to say, I've got a massive countdown behind me. This is coming towards the end of my show. It's not the last bit of my show, but it's the right at the very end, and I've had them in the palm of my hand with all of the stuff that I've done beforehand. And I cannot get out. And the last 10 seconds, complete dread is on my face. And I'm like, I don't know what to do. Don't know what to do. So in classic Wolfgang sort of like mode, I was like, right, what kind of lines can I pull from this brain here? Because as you know, as performers, if something goes wrong, you just have to deal with it. Sometimes you can't just say and stop, like in recording, you know, in a film, or in some places, if something goes wrong on set, some people can do the curtains. When it's live like this, especially in the environment in which I work at, you just have to deal with it, right? So it got to the end, and I go da-da-da-da-da-dum, boom. So as you can see, I just need a little bit longer. So if you wouldn't mind, I'm just going to sing a little song. That'll just help me out. Just a little song. Here we go. 99 bottles of beer on the wall, 99 bottles of beer, and I got and I got a little laugh, and then I was laughing, and I was like, I genuinely cannot get this bit. So then I had to actually get one of the people on stage walk to come up, and I said, I'm very sorry, Tony, would you mind standing up and helping me out, because I genuinely can't get out of this thing. Thank you. Can we please have a massive round of applause whilst I get out of this straitjacket for my lovely assistant who showed me just how hard it is to get out of. And it was weird because there was like a booze and there was also cheers as well. It was a very but yeah, ever since then, now I say I've had to adapt my script to make sure that never happens again. But I just remember that feeling, that moment of just going, bugger, what do you say? What do you do? But you know what? I mean, that's what live entertainment is all about. It's just having those moments, and also how you deal with them as well. I mean, Sam, we had a very interesting moment in the pantomime with the beanstalk. I don't know if I can say, but yeah, that was another moment of thinking on your feet and dealing with things.
Do you think we could say sometimes the beanstalk had performance anxiety? Do you think that's a fair?
Yeah, during that moment, it made me question many things. Yeah, like you could say that. Yeah,
there were times, yes, but perhaps we need to save those sort of stories for another time.
Yes, definitely.
Honestly,
yeah.
It's been such a joy catching up. 10 years has gone so quickly. It feels like just yesterday we were on stage together, and I sincerely hope that we have that opportunity again in the very near future, because it's been a joy chatting to you. It was always a joy performing with you, but we're well aware you need to go off, because if you don't practice getting out of straitjackets, you might get stuck in them again. And that's the last thing we want to happen. But
practice makes perfect. Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us, mate. It has been amazing.
Yeah.
No,
fantastic, Paul.
I really
Thanks,
appreciate
mate.
your time. Thank you for letting me ramble.
Oh, no, not at all. It's been fascinating. It's been amazing to hear the sort of human side of things, the not fitting in and the fighting against the adversities and getting through, and to be where you are now. Just brilliant. If that's not inspirational to some of our perhaps younger listeners or aspiring actors and performers out there, then I don't know what is. But mate, have a fabulous rest of your day, and we'll speak again very soon.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Hey, take care, Paul.
You take care.
Come and see us soon. Bye-bye.
Oh, definitely. Nice one.
Well, there he goes. Shall I say, Mr. Paul Burley making his escape from Drewling Samantics. But, I mean, fantastic chap, fantastic guy. I mean, if you weren't watching it on YouTube, everyone, why? But if you do watch it on YouTube, the smile on his face while he was talking all the time, even when he was dealing with things that were tricky or whatever, you can just see the joy in his eyes of just sharing, being in the business and sharing, his experiences and his knowledge, etc. Just it's refreshing and joyous to see, and what a lovely guy. And how much has he packed in a young career?
Yeah, no,
thus far,
brilliantly, very, very talented. His energy is just, it envelops you, doesn't it? That excitement and that sort of lust for life and the enjoyment he gets from doing what he does. And that's what he's like on stage. He's a joy to be on stage with, because you just feel that energy and excitement, and it envelops you. It's brilliant. And yeah, just a lovely, lovely guy who's done so many things. Yet again, another extraordinarily talented and amazing guest to make us feel inadequate.
Well, I was about to say, isn't it interesting that the guests that are coming along now are finding that so many of our guests now do so many things, but they have a lust for learning and taking their skills further. That makes us look a bit dull, doesn't it, mate? Eh?
Oh, I don't know about that. I think
no, mate, no.
I would certainly hope 100 and whatever it is, 180, 190 odd episodes down the line, we're still entertaining people a little bit.
Oh God, yes, of course we are. Of course we are.
And speaking of, shall we try and be entertaining next week.
Next week.
Without a catalyst, without a guest, without someone super talented. Should we just see what we can give?
See, that's what I may even go away and learn something new. This old dog may go away and learn. I'll spend an hour, out of my day.
Yeah, use
something.
4% to get something new up. What a great philosophy that is as well.
Yeah.
4% makes it sound so small, but it can be so valuable. Just taking that hour, if you have the facility to do that, why not? Absolutely, why not? And what a positive way to look.
Positive way. Yeah. I just hope that, all our lovely listeners, subscribers, viewers, that just take 4% next week and come back and listen to us in your 4%. How about that?
Exactly. And actually, two lots of that, 8%, that's still not a great deal. So you can do something productive of an hour, and equally, you can listen to us for that period of time. What more could you want, mate? What more?
There's nothing better than being in the background sometimes. I don't know where that came from. I'm going now.
No, on that really confusing note, we'll see you next week. Take it easy.
Take care, everyone. Bye.
Thanks again for watching this episode of Drewling Samantics.
Please make sure you subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications so you never miss a new video.
Don't forget, we're also available as audio only. Just search Drewling Samantics in any good podcast app. And please support us on social media. All our links and handles are on screen now.
We love welcoming new followers and subscribers, so why not share with your family and friends so they can join in too? Thanks very much. See you next time.